I'm going to record it so we can put it on our YouTube and share it with anyone who's not able to make it today. And then we'll have lots of time for discussion as always. So if you can see my slides here, as we know, the essential of Stronger Memory, it's this combination of doing these 3 exercises and this socialization. So the groups that you're all leading and facilitating have such an impact. And what we want to talk about today is how can we capture the great stories of what you and your participants and your staff team are doing, and how we can share that and amplify that. So why does storytelling matter? It really, when we're thinking, oh, sorry, my slide went. So storytelling builds connection and community. It highlights the impact of stronger memory, but it also impacts, what you all are doing and highlights the great work that's going on in your communities. I want to share an example. This is Annie Cox. Her community had a wonderful article in Deseret News in Salt Lake County, and it was really engaging. And we actually found, I was pulling up the numbers today, just that one article led to 336 workbook downloads. So I'm sure, that definitely gave us some great momentum and helped us share stronger memory, but I'm sure it added a lot of great publicity for your organization as well. So one of the things that we've been talking about with our PR team is how can we help amplify efforts like this? How can we help create more opportunities for you all to share your stories? Some tips on gathering and crafting a success story. What makes this story powerful? If it's relatable and memorable, that's going to have the biggest impact, and something that motivates and inspires action. So talking about how we really are seeing a difference, having a person share their thoughts or a caregiver share their thoughts, that can really be powerful. Tips for effective storytelling, being authentic, adding in, sensory details, really describing how did this person feel, and being clear and concise. These don't have to be complicated stories. They can be simple. It can be a photo. You'll see, in this photo, it's a great example. It's a photo of the back of someone's head, so privacy is protected. Of course, when we're sharing stories, whether that's a photo or just a quote or a testimonial, we want to make sure that we either have the person's permission to share that information, or we're taking efforts to protect their privacy. This is Wendy Liebrick, the founder of Stronger Memory, and I use her story as an example because she was really the first pioneer of Stronger Memory, and what got Stronger Memory, that story that's so relatable, got a lot of early adopters interested, is that this was a story about a mom and her son, Rob Liebrick, who is the CEO of Goodwin Living, who worked with a occupational therapist who did research and really came up with this curriculum. The heart of that story is that it's a mom and her son, and a mom that wanted to be there for her grandkids, that wanted to be able to do something positive when she was diagnosed with mild cognitive impairment. How can we identify these stories? We can talk to participants. Are they observing things that are really neat? I heard several really cool things in our intros today, especially around like progress or milestones. We have a anniversary. We've been doing this for a year. We've been doing this for 6 months. How is that really exciting? and how can we talk about that. So I'm going to hand it over to Teresa for a few minutes because she's going to share some photos that she's been sent, and just talk a little bit about some of the places that have shared stories with us so far.
Great, thanks, Jessica. And just so everybody knows, on that last slide, that's a very recent photo near the end of the year last year. That was someone took Wendy out for her 80th birthday prior to her big 80th birthday bash dinner. This was in the afternoon. So I'm happy you all get to see this, because some of the pictures you've seen of Wendy could be as old as 4 or 5 years at this point. And so as you can see there, Wendy is still out there and really having fun and extremely engaged and spreading stronger memory far and wide to neighbors. And whenever they go on a trip, she takes stronger memory workbooks with her, and then we end up getting people calling us and they want to be trained. So I just thought I'd throw that out there, because Wendy really has been a wonderful champion for us. And I agree, the origin story often speaks to many people when we're telling them about stronger memory. All right, sorry, Jessica, we can go to the next one.
No, that's great. Thank you for highlighting that.
And there are some people on this call that are going to recognize photos that they have sent us. I think a big shout out to Surrey Center, and then also to Salt Lake County. Then we also have another photo from the top out in Oregon. So very wonderful when people send us photos. As Jessica mentioned, we love to get photos, and I know Ellie's going to talk about her social media presence in a little while, but that's one of the reasons. The other is, I can't tell you internally the joy that we have when we get to see photos of what's going on out and about with Stronger Memory. And I highlight these as well because they're great. And they're not professionally done. They're not posed in any way. I think people can tell, like, hey, this is really what's going on out there in people that are doing Stronger Memory groups. And you can see the picture on the top right was someone showing us how they were organizing their handout folders for their group that was just about to start. So we really would be delighted to receive from you a single quote. And I love, Diane, you just mentioned that people love doing Stronger Memory because they feel like they're actively doing something for their brain health. And I'm going to give a shout out to Kevin in Missouri as well, because he recently sent us an email, and part of it about Stronger Memory said, my goal is to change the state motto from the show me state to no need to show me. I remember state. So we really do live to get that feedback from all of you. We want feedback of all types, but we're always, of course, looking for ways to make this interesting, to get more people going, like from you all, from facilitators, but also from individual participants and even organizations. Kaiser Permanente recently has taken an interest in Stronger Memory as well. And it came out of a short snippet that they read and then a connection that they made in Maryland. So feel free, send us a simple quote, send us a story, send us a photo, send us anything you like. And we want to make it easy for you. I know Ellie's going to go into that, how you can connect with us, but I'll just say too, I mean, we get emails all the time. We will come back to you and ask if we have permission to share these. Internally right now, we're sharing Surrey's, but we have not shared that publicly because I honestly don't have clearance. I need to get with you some more about that, but others have given us permission. So we do want to make sure, of course, as Jessica said, that you're taking that into account, what you're sharing with us. And if it's something that you would just like our internal team to see, that's fine. Just let us know. We're still going to be cheering very much. It keeps us going. Let's see the next one, Jessica. I think we have a few more photos.
We do.
There we go. Yeah, this is actually from my home state of Maryland, at the top of the state, Elkton, where you can walk to Delaware, and then the bottom of the state, St. Mary's County, where you can swim right out into the Chesapeake Bay. And so I love that they were showing us different ways that they were spreading stronger memory. And I had the pleasure of getting to visit both of these senior centers as well. Interestingly, in senior centers and often in retirement communities, you can, if you are already doing this or you're thinking about it, you can have a blanket form that your members can sign to consent to have their photos, so that we don't have to ask you each time. If you let us know that something you're sending us in advance has that. And a big shout out to, I think, Annie Cox, you shared with us something that you had that people had signed, so that you could even send us some kind of satisfaction survey results from people that allowed us to be able to pull some of the quotes from those. So we're very appreciative. I think we have one more.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, we do. This is part of a nursing home project through CMS, where 100 nursing homes could take part in Stronger Memory and receive their workbooks and some training from us. And because it is in the nursing home, they are a little more strict about being able to share people's faces. They did get permission from these residents, but they still chose to take them from behind, as Jessica had mentioned earlier. And so that's fine too. You can still see that people are actively doing things here, but we don't necessarily need to see their faces directly. So really anything, and again, non-professional photographs, but you can certainly tell that these people are very engaged in Stronger Memory. So we would welcome that. We would encourage you to not send us any protected health information. But I will say, if you did accidentally send it to Stronger Memory, we are very much HIPAA-ized over here and would absolutely get back to you before we would put anything out that we thought could be problematic. So again, we want to make it easy for you to share with us, and we're very appreciative. And the other reason we'd love for you to share with us is because it's our way of being able to give back and giving you all a shout out when it's okay for us to share where the photograph is coming from, because we certainly want to appreciate all of your hard work and dedication. And the people on this call, many of them, incredible hard work and dedication, and it shows. And the fact that you have members coming back and wanting to do more Stronger Memory, we can't thank you enough.
Absolutely. Everybody works so hard, and we just want to highlight that.
Yeah.
So yeah, going off of that, Ellie, I think, is this one and the next one your slide?
Yes.
Awesome. Take it away, Ellie, our social media star.
Yeah.
I don't know if
If you've ever looked at the Stronger Memory Instagram or Facebook page, it's all Ellie.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna go kind of piggyback off of what Teresa was saying. All of you guys do such an amazing work with this program, and we're changing so many lives. And what we really want to do this year, especially, as to celebrate all of you, celebrate all the individuals who are doing the Stronger Memory program together. So if you have any photos of your groups in action or individuals just working on them, either by themselves or in one-on-one, we would love to see them. As Teresa said, make sure just that we have permission to send them. And if you do send us photos, we will to make sure we have permission too. We'll never, we're very, very cautious on HIPAA. So, we'll always make sure never to put anything super identifying, unless, we have that permission. So yeah, so we're just asking for people to send us their photos. And we want to give you guys shout outs and highlight you guys on our social media pages. So Jess, if you'll move to the next page.
Yes. There we go.
All right, so how can you submit the stories and the photos to the Stronger Memory team? So on this slide, you see the email is strongermemory@goodwinliving.org. This is our general team email. So if you send it to any photos to this email, we will get them. All that I really ask is just making sure that, you have photo consent from individuals in the photo, and just a short little description of maybe, what was your group doing, or I don't know, something fun maybe I can add into the caption. And I do want to put an ask out there that if any of your communities are going to post photos with our and doing it in the Stronger Memory groups, just to please tag us so we can follow you, make sure we're following you, make sure that we can share it and see. So we really just want to, make it even more of a community feel, and really celebrate what we're all doing. So at the bottom is the links to our Instagram and our Facebook, which we're trying to grow. And that's kind of it for me. Just want to, share all that we're doing and highlight everybody.
Yeah, thanks, Ellie. And here's an example Ellie put of our one of our partners, the Caregiver Action Network, is hosting a webinar next week. And you can see they tagged us really easily and quickly in their post. So we're excited about that, because then that lets us know that you are tagging us, and we can share it, we can amplify it there, and that's the goal. I see, Annie, you have your hand up.
Just a question for Ellie. With that last slide, you said that you just make sure that you have the consent forms. Do you need those? Do you need a copy of those, or just know that we have them when we send those in?
That's a good question. As far as I know, I don't think that we do need them. Just as long as the individuals are over the age of 18, as long as, we trust that you have that photo consent. So I don't think we need that. I will double check.
Yeah, we don't need a copy.
No, and in a non-healthcare setting, so for smaller groups that are running, honestly, verbal consent, passed on to us,
Right.
and, saying that you have received verbal consent, that's fine. For the larger organizations, I know you already have policies and procedures in place. But we don't want that to be a barrier. We're kind of letting you know that we're going to make sure too, if there's a question, we're going to come back to you and just double check. But telling us one time from your organization, we can then track that we do have permission. So that works out fine for us, just letting us know in an email that it's okay for us to post that, and letting us know too, if you want us to attribute it to you, to your group, to your organization, we can. Sometimes people send us things and they don't necessarily want that shout out attached, and that's fine too. We're just showing it as a Stronger Memory photo. But if you want to let us know, and as Elliot said, a short description is really helpful to let us know what's happening in the photo, and if there's a quote that you want to attach to that. But again, we want to make it easy for you to get that to us, and we've been so excited lately. We're seeing more and more people are tagging us and following us, and then we're following back, and so that's how the network grows. It's wonderful.
Absolutely. Thanks. And yes, Teresa's absolutely right. We're a healthcare organization, so our internal photos, we do, need to make sure we have written consents for those. But a lot of you, your setting and what your policy is, and as long as you tell us, hey, this is okay to post, then we'll post it. And we can post things anonymously, and not say where it's from. Our default, though, will be to try and tag you and give you the credit for the great work that you're doing. Now I'm going to open it up to, I'm going to stop sharing my screen so we can all see each other's faces, and we will open it up to questions, to discussion. And I know since we have, I see a couple of hands raised, and let's see. I see a question in the chat from, by Kevin. Kevin had to leave early. And then a question in the chat from Melissa. Recently completed and yet to be published research. Yes, we can share the link to that published article, and we'll look at in the next couple months, maybe even doing our facilitators call on that. We can do an overview of those summaries. Diane, we'll get to your question next.
Okay, just as a matter of curiosity, going through the slides and talking about the nursing home, the residents at the nursing home doing it, it looked like they were working right directly in the notebooks. Is that the case? Do they write the answers and everything in the notebooks? Or was that just a posing kind of thing?
It's Teresa, so I'll answer Diane because I get to work with, right now we have 71 nursing homes in Virginia that are doing StrongerMemory, and I would say they're doing it all kinds of different ways. That particular one was in Tidewater, Virginia, and that's how they decided to do it, with a small group, with their residents writing in the books. But you may have also seen in one of those photos was a black and white composition notebook sitting next to a lady. So they did go to the dollar store, the $1.25 store, and buy composition black and white notebooks for people to write in. But we're seeing all different ways, and we're still having a lot of folks who are printing off particularly the math pages and just maybe doing 1 week at a time, and then giving the next week. So I think it really depends on the nursing home, and whether it's being directed by the activities department versus a volunteer that's coming in to work with the residents. But it's kind of what we like, is that it's very adaptable. And that picture too, the residents really were quite active, and many of them, despite having some physical limitations, you could see there, we're still actively writing. But we do have other groups in nursing homes that perhaps are further along in their journey of dementia. And so they may not be writing so much anymore, but they're verbally answering the prompts. And then that brings a discussion with the small group.
I just asked the question thinking that if they're writing in the book, then they can't go back and do it again. That was the question. But also, I think it was May and Rhonda who verbalized they were getting feedback from the members. And I'm curious to see or hear what kind of feedback we're talking about. So thank you for the answer, though, Teresa.
Sure.
I just want to ask one question quick. Is there a list of places, in other words, states, that StrongerMemory is available in?
Great question. We do have that list. We can pull that list. We don't have it on our website right now. We are in the process of kind of revamping our website. We've looked at, if we could create, in the past, a long time ago, if we could create, a Google map that would show and highlight all the places StrongerMemory is. So that might be something we're able to do in the future.
Because I had one person move and they were wondering if it was available anyplace else. And so that's why I just was wondering what states so far have made some kind of commitment to it.
That's a great question. Right now, we don't have a public-facing directory, but we do have the ability to look up on our end what states. So that's a good suggestion.
Yes, and Susan, if you want to pass on to me where they are, then
I have to, refind that email. Also, I want to say something that I just did. I just sent out a survey to all my 4 groups with 6 simple questions, asking them to respond.
Great idea.
Yes or no. So I'm in the process of getting them back. And it was very strange. 2 people said they weren't doing the program anymore, but they still wanted to receive email from me and email from you. So go figure.
Yep. Diane's very familiar with that too.
Absolutely. Yes.
Right. And I think, Diane, you had asked maybe if Rhonda or May wanted to share some of the feedback that they're getting.
Mm-hmm. They both mentioned it in their talk, so I'm just sort of curious.
If there's if they're available. Let's see.
I'm
Rhonda's
happy to
here.
share.
Good.
This is Rhonda.
Mhm.
What we realized is we weren't thinking of feedback with the first group. So the first 12 weeks, we didn't capture data at the end of the 12 weeks. But before we were halfway through, people started to verbalize how they were feeling. So a couple of them sent notes, and in the second in-person group, we realized the benefit of a short survey, just like Susan mentioned. So we had 7 questions, quick handout that we collected on the last week. And I've shared some of that data with Teresa and Jessica, because it
Yeah.
was so impressive. 86% said they felt they were helped significantly. The other 14% said they realized some benefit from the program. And then giving them a chance to express themselves and hearing people repeatedly talking about, the fellowship they experience, the camaraderie, calling each other classmates, which I thought was just
That's wonderful.
it really was wonderful. Giving them the chance. That was the best question, giving them the chance to say in their own words what that experience was. And something else that I realized after capturing that data, we shared it with the group, and
Oh, yeah.
appreciating how each other felt has helped to anchor them even more. For example, somebody came recently, said she wasn't going to come because she had so much going on, including really heavy grief. And yet she was silent in the class, but at the end of the class, she wanted them to know how much happier she felt, how much better connected she was because she came.
Wow,
So
that's
I now,
powerful.
as much as it's extra work, I really believe that feedback's invaluable.
And
Yeah.
one of the participants in the group that's going on now, in the place where she's living, there was somebody who died. And the participant was feeling really anxious and upset, and she didn't know, how she died and all this sort of stuff. And so when she came to the meeting, she verbalized that, she didn't feel like herself, and she just felt like she was all tied up. By the end of the meeting, with her talking and the people giving feedback, she verbalized that even just with that one session, she felt better about, and knowing that death is part of life, it's a part of the life circle, but experiencing it up close and personal, unscheduled, so to speak, that's bound to be a traumatic experience. So thank you, Rhonda. I appreciate what you said. You
You're
too,
welcome.
Teresa, or Susan, rather. And May was the other one who said that she got some positive feedback. I don't know if May is still on or not.
She's on. I know she's on mute. Oh, there
Yep,
you are.
I'm here.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, I'm here. I have to honestly tell you all, we just got done printing out all of my, we call my Stronger Memory packets
Oh,
for
yeah.
the month. And so this month is 7 pages long. And one of the things that I do is I go ahead and I print out at least 4 pages of math, at least 3 pages of the memory writing prompts. And which is really cool because some of my adult family homeowners, they will sit at dinner hour with the clients and they will have a conversation topic and work with them, which is so super cool.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's such a super cool thing. And then I also go online and I find stories and poetry. Like for Thanksgiving, I went and found some Reader's Digest funny stories about how people screwed up Thanksgiving dinner. This year, and then at Christmas time, I found this beautiful vintage story from 1852 from a children's magazine about a vintage Christmas. And so many of my clients absolutely love that one. And now this time we have we have a New Year's one. So and I also include poetry because there's certain clients that prefer the diction and the rhythm of poetry than they do to reading a story. So I have both available. This month, my packet's about 7 pages long. And it's been extremely popular with my people. And it's just amazing. I feel so blessed since the first time I saw the gentleman and his mom at that webinar and said, I'm going to try my best to see if this will work. And boy, it really took off. My people
That's
look forward to them
great.
every month. Yeah. So thanks, guys.
So wonderful.
Thanks for
Thank you.
sharing, May.
Mhm.
I think another thing that comes up in this is I sent to Michelle and Jessica and just today a thing on loneliness, and this whole thing about that stronger memory gives you a community, I think is like such an important part of it, even if they don't so much benefit
Yes.
from the class. It's that they now have people that they're socializing with, and that maybe that can help with I mean, the statistics on loneliness in the article I sent you today were staggering,
Yeah.
frightening. I mean, young people, old people, I mean, just how lonely people are. And, you know, it just is, it's so important that that's a part of what happens from stronger memory.
I think
Absolutely.
some of the people that I've met before on this call know that in my working world, I was a physical therapist, and 30 of the 47 years was in home care. And one of the things that I found very interesting in the beginning is, we tell people we're not going to be in here forevermore. We are here to do certain things, and they need to be doing their homework in order to get the progression, in order to graduate. But the number of people that when we said we were going to be graduating in a week or two, that developed another ache and a pain to extend things a little bit. And as you got to talking with them, you realized that basically it was the loneliness aspect of being isolated. I don't know how many of you know, but I'm in Fairfax County, and we are working on the older person strategic plan, and one of them is in the personal well-being in the SHAPE program, and which Stronger Memory is a part of, which I'm very proud to say. But one of the other initiatives is about developing communities of connection, and they were using the Surgeon General remark about how loneliness affects the longevity of a person. And I could see that from my working world too, those who were not engaged, they tended not to be moving around very much. And so their mobility decreased. And if you don't engage with somebody else, the cognitive area comes into play and everything. But in recent studies, they show that the loneliness and social isolation actually has effect on their physical health with the diseases that encounter. So it really is a very good component here. Aside from working the brain and everything, that social connection also is important. And that's the one reason why that second group is electing to stay together. It gives them a group, that they look forward to.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. And maybe next month we'll cover what some of the new trends that were mentioned in the published research article by George Mason University on stronger memory, because what they found was that really the reason why people join stronger memory might be because of their own worries and things like that. But the reason that they stay with stronger memory, a lot of it is that community and socialization that they find together.
Exactly. Jessica, we also had a question. Melissa was wondering for May, how many times do you meet each month?
I only get to see my people once a month typically, unless there's like an emergency or I end up having to go for a hospital visit or something, or maybe someone needs discharge planning. But I only get to see my people for 1 hour a month. And I'm driving all day.
That's
Well,
hard.
we're really appreciative that you're spending all that time putting the packets together to make sure that they have, something that can carry them through the month. And I love the idea of the theme kind of for each month that you're doing as well. That's great,
Oh,
particularly since you're seeing them once a month.
yeah.
That really
Yeah.
can carry them through. So
What's really interesting is I
Absolutely.
have some who turn it back into me, and they've written on the
yes,
writing prompt pages, they've done the math homework,
Oh,
and they want like a
yeah.
gold star. I have lollipops in my bag or in my in my desk drawer for those that do that. So yeah.
That's really fun. I think
that's
that
great.
shows they're really invested.
Yes,
Mhm.
awesome. We should mention that Michelle and Ellie developed a Stronger Memory participant certificate template that was requested by one of our folks. So we do have that. And if you're interested, we can email that to you, where you can type in their name and the date. For those who want to graduate kind of thing too. So we do have that, but we've seen all kinds of, we've seen people create other certificates, have celebratory parties, just all kinds of things. Even if they're going to be starting a new session, again, they're just taking a short break in between. But let us know if we would welcome you sharing any of your ideas with us so that we can share those as well. But we do have a template too for a certificate. If that's something you're interested in, feel free to reach out to us.
Yes,
Great.
absolutely. And I saw another question in the chat about math worksheets. So thank you, Annie, for answering that and putting that link to the math worksheet generator. That's a really, really neat one. I know Teresa's been playing around with ChatGPT, and the
Yes.
challenge is trying to get it to format in a way that's easy to solve. Can be a challenge. So that's a great resource.
There's
those
also a
worksheets.
way, I forget the name of the site, where you can make a word search puzzle. And I did that with
Yes.
everybody's names. And everybody was like so
Oh,
excited about finding their name on that sheet. So there is a word search generator that's online, but I don't remember where it is right now.
that's fun. That's really fun.
I like that with their names. That's really
Yeah.
great. It gives you real incentive
Yes.
to want to solve it.
Yes.
Yes.
I love that. Well, what else? What other,
I just want to
and
say that, I'm
yeah,
sorry. I just
no,
want
go
to say
ahead.
that I do have some clients who are incapable of reading or incapable
Okay.
of doing the math. And I will sit there and a lot of them are nonverbal. Those ones that are nonverbal, I will literally sit there and I will read them the story or
Okay.
that I
Yeah.
bring. And they seem to really like that. I can get some positive response from them on that. But that's also a really cool thing too, the importance of reading, and also for those folks that don't have the capability to read because of strokes or whatnot. I've
Mhm.
hooked up with the Talking Book and Braille Library. And
Oh,
what's really
yeah.
cool about them is they send out this player for free. It has remote, it has headphones, it's rechargeable. So if the power goes out, you got 12 hours to play your book. And they send out book cartridges like monthly. And my nonverbal, or my people who are incapable of reading because of medical issues now, they absolutely love it. I had one gentleman who was a voracious reader before his strokes, and he loves his player so much. It's always put my book back on, So
Yeah,
it's a good way too. I've seen some success there as well.
that's really great.
Really cool. Very cool. Those
Very
are
cool.
things we've heard too from the nursing home setting, to be very adaptable. And there was an interesting study that just came out, I want to say the other day, and it's still very new. It hasn't even been widespread yet, but in showing the ability of our brains to create new brain cells, so neurogenesis, particularly in the areas that we want it, like the prefrontal cortex and the hippocampus, that it turned out when they did a study that it was listening to others speak was very important for neurogenesis. They were
Yeah.
doing the study in children and young adults, but they absolutely felt that it would translate over to all humans. So very, very new research, very small population, but for the first time ever, they've been able to pinpoint that was something that actually could create new brain cells and strengthen neural pathways, which is really interesting.
Where neurology is concerned, it's an ongoing science for sure. I can remember when I was working, there was a story out about a young girl, was 12 years old, who had epilepsy to the point where she was not able to function very well. And the only way that they could think about taking care of that was to actually remove part of her brain. And so they were talking about the deficits that would happen when this happened, because, you know, the right side of the brain controls the left and the left and the right. So they were anticipating that one part of her would not be able to move so much afterwards. And after they did the surgery and she came out and uh, everything was moving. There was no deficits. So the body, you know, just adjusted. And, you know, that was a story that went around to show there's no telling and forecasting what the person's body can do. And that was just something so many years ago. So Lord, he knows what it's like now. And like you're saying, they're always learning new things.
Wow, that's amazing. I see, Annie, you have your hand raised.
Yeah, I was just wondering, I'm hearing all of these great resources, and I tend to spend a good amount of time trying to find stuff. Is there maybe on the Facebook page, I don't know, maybe we make a private Facebook for facilitators, but a way for us to access everybody else's hard work and contribute so that, you know, one of my big things is trying to find information that's accurate, you know, or that has some credibility
Yes.
behind it
Right.
when I'm telling them these things. And so I would love to be able to access the efforts of all of us instead of just spending my time doing it. And the same thing
Yeah.
too, like I created a special holiday themed writing prompts or math pages or things like that maybe we can all save each other some time if those were available to all of us.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. I think that's a great idea. And we've played around with, what does that look like? Is that a Google Drive? Interesting idea of the private Facebook group. We could do one just for facilitators. Yeah, that's an interesting idea. But yeah, I think that's kind of the next step here. It would be really helpful because you all are creating stuff and we're creating resources too. Some exciting things will come out in the next few months with all of your feedback on the facilitators guide and what extra resources you might need. So a place to share that would be really, really helpful. We'll maybe play around with some options of what that would look like and what what the best medium is, and maybe we can even discuss that on our next month's call.
Could we do a book list too? Because like I've just, you know, been reading a lot of great
Yeah.
books. Gray Matters by a brain surgeon, and I'm reading the stress test now, which is
Okay.
really opening up for me how much progress has been made with people with really serious injuries or problems. So you know, I think a book list too could be helpful. Like you look for something a little different than what you're actually doing in StrongerMemory, but somehow it leads you back to something that you're doing or something that you want to try because you've, you know, read. So I think a book list would be helpful too.
Yeah, that's a great idea. I like that a lot. I see, Diane, your hand is up.
Yes. You know, I don't know if this is possible or not, but a lot of times when we go to meetings and it's a particular group, there is I don't know, a collection of our emails. You know, we recognize some people here and they have such good ideas, but you might not think about something when you're on this call. But if you had the list with their address or something, is that possible even?
Yeah, kind of like some sort of directory.
For us,
I
yes.
think
Like
if it was, yeah, and maybe I like the idea of a private Facebook group, and maybe there's a way to make it optional, you know, so I don't think we could share that information, but if there's like a shared spreadsheet that you know, all of you who are facilitators, you can opt in and put your own information in there. That could be a really good idea to help connect everyone. Absolutely.
Great.
Anything else? I know, Liz, thanks for sitting in on our talk, especially as we talk about capturing stories. Do you have anything you want to add? Not to put you on the spot, but to put you on the spot.
No, it's great to hear all this wonderful feedback from your participants. So thank you so much for letting me join and listen in.
Absolutely. Thanks, Liz. Any other? I see lots of comments and notes in the chat, so we'll make sure we capture that as well, and we'll send out notes as well as this meeting recording. Any final thoughts or questions before we end our monthly huddle?
Jessica, I was wondering if I could read a note that was shared with us about Stronger Memory, just to kind of help close it out. But Wendy Liebrick met some folks in a retirement home and brought Stronger Memory to their activities person, who then shared it throughout the building and even brought it into hospice. And we got this note that was to Wendy and to all of us in Stronger Memory. And she wrote this about her father who had just passed. And it said, "It is obvious that this program introduced by you struck a chord with Dad. He felt strongly to the end of doing his reading, writing, and arithmetic assignments each day. I think partly as something to fill his day, and each component appealed to him. He was already strong at math. His dementia screenings were always 100% in this area. He loved to read, and reading out loud was an easy extension. He had read out loud to my mom daily during her years of dementia also. And obviously, from his binders full of memoirs, he loved to write about things he knew and experienced. Most of his stories were familiar to me. However, the Stronger Memory writing prompts gave me a peek into his current state of mind. Is there an afterlife? His favorite piece of furniture? What would you do if you had $1 million? What was the greatest compliment you ever received? I find these are special nuggets he left behind for all of us with sincere gratitude." So, yeah.
Very nice.
Wow.
Yeah,
That's really
definitely.
nice.
Really wonderful that people are sharing with us. So just thought I would share that with you because
Good way to end.
Yeah, and it's
Yes, a
very
great way
meaningful,
to
all the work
end.
you're doing.
Thank you for sharing that. That's lovely. Well, thanks so much, everyone. I hope to see you all next month, and be in touch with sharing those stories, and I hope to hear from you soon. Hope we can give you a shout out.
Okay, bye.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Thank you.
New Year.